Tom.
Good to be with you, Renee.
So Carney and Starmer meeting today ahead of the summit. What do you make of this early meeting and what could come of it?
I believe that it's a very clear signal that's being sent by both Starmer and Carney that both of us are still very close, long-lasting friends, and we have partnerships that go back long before the folly of Donald Trump. I think it's just a simple signal. We get along. We understand each other in terms of trade relationships. We have a similar view on most matters of foreign policy. Recently, for example, on the Middle East, Canada has joined hands with the UK and with other countries. Carney's been doing a very good job of maintaining and building those relationships with our longstanding allies, especially France and Great Britain. So it's a good signal, I think, for Carney to be walking into that G7 meeting saying, this is about new partnerships. There are specific things like artificial intelligence that we're going to be talking about. It's against a backdrop of a question, existential question of war and peace, both Russia, Ukraine, and now, of course, Israel and Iran. These are really serious matters, and they will no doubt be playing out. Donald Trump will be looking to figure what the angle is so that he can get as much attention as possible. He likes doing that. Last time they were in Charlevoix, he decided to huff and puff and not sign the final declaration. Mark Carney's figured out what to do with that one. There will not be a final declaration. So that's one less opportunity for Trump to be Trump and to try to draw attention to himself. We're hearing that Trump has spent a lot of time on the phone recently with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and it's too bad that that hasn't resulted in what Trump had promised, because he said it would take him 1 day to settle Russia-Ukraine. But of course, to the extent that Trump believes that it's actually Ukraine's fault that they were invaded by Russia, it's a little bit more difficult. Volodymyr Zelensky will be at the G7 summit, and I think that that's an important signal in and of itself on the part of Canada, because as the host, you get to invite other people, and having Mexico there as well as part of our three-way deal with the U.S., that's also a strong signal.
Now, there will be time for bilateral meetings. Could Carney and Donald Trump come to some sort of trade deal on the sidelines? What do you think there?
Almost certainly, and it does seem to be moving along apace. I don't think that they're going to try to upstage the G7 itself, because there is a lot that has to be discussed. Now, it is in Trump's interest to show that he's able to come to deals, because he's supposedly the guy who masters the art of the deal. At least he boasts to that effect. But when you can't have a deal with your closest trading partner, which is Canada, and your longest standing ally, it's very difficult to convince the world that anything is going to move in a positive direction. So I do think that it's in Trump's interest to be able to say that he has a deal. He does have one, by the way, with the UK, but of course their trade with the UK is minuscule compared to Canada's. I'm not sure Trump was aware of that, but at least he's got his deal, and at least Starmer gets to say that he was right. I mean, when he showed up and for his meeting with Trump, he was very obsequious, but I have a feeling that it paid off, because that seems to be what you have to do with Donald Trump.
And what do you think the biggest priority should be for Mark Carney with this meeting?
I think the biggest priority is trade, because the world had an existing system. It had taken more than 50 years to put in place. You go back to the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, world coming together, years-long discussions to try to remove barriers to the free movement of goods. Canada, U.S., Mexico actually had more in there on the free movement of people. We had a side agreement on the environment. I mean, it was a real example of what can happen when you put your minds to it. And Trump put the last deal together and signed it. He said that the NAFTA wasn't good enough. Fine. He liked his new one, but now he doesn't like it so much anymore, because he's broken every clause of that agreement. So it's very hard to know why we should be spending more time with the Mexicans trying to settle a new deal with the U.S., other than the fact that we have so much to do in terms of creating jobs and creating wealth and improving our own lives and our economy, that we're stuck. I mean, we have to sit down and talk to Donald Trump, even though he's an absolutely unreliable trading partner and an absolutely unreliable negotiating partner.
All right, Tom, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much. As always, CTV News political commentator and former NDP leader, Tom Mulcair. Bye, Tom. Thanks.
All the best.